Hello guys, and welcome to the very first Plan With Me video in real time on my channel. I had the idea of doing my bullet journal theme while doing a chit chat video on my channel, and you really enjoyed the idea on my Instagram and YouTube community tab because I've been watching these videos on YouTube for a while now where the creator just creates a page or a spread and they do it in real time and they talk about different topics that the followers mention for them to talk about, and I decided to do the same thing. I really hope you find this video really interesting. I hope you can watch it while planning your theme for April or doing a spread. I love watching these videos while I'm editing a video, so I hope you enjoy this video as well. I'm also going to talk about what I'm using for this theme, and for example, I'm using the Winsor & Newton watercolor palette. I haven't used watercolors in a while, and I bought this watercolor back in 2018 and I just used it for a couple of months, but then I just forgot about it. I got stuck in using markers to do the doodles and everything in my bullet journal that I just didn't want to use my watercolor palette. And the problem with watercolors to me is that they took a long time to dry and I have to be careful to, paint them first and then do the spreads. So because I'm like a person who likes to do bullet journal themes very quickly and I don't like to wait for things to dry, I kind of avoid using watercolors. But for this theme is you controlling my bullet journal. So I basically said, okay, you know what? You are controlling my bullet journal. You are going to choose what I'm going to do, and you should also choose what materials I'm going to use. So instead of using markers, I decided to get out of my comfort zone and use my watercolor palette. It really turned out really great. If you watched yesterday's video, I posted my sped up version of my April setup. It's the normal Plan With Me video that I've been posting on my bullet journal since forever. I talked about it, and yeah, I really enjoyed the theme. If you're watching this video after that, you know that the theme turned out really great. I really like this theme. I'm really excited. And so I decided to post the real-time version so you can see like how much time it takes me to do the leaves, how much time I can do the other things, and everything in real time. I found these videos really raw and real, and instead of doing just the speed up version where you just see it for 20 minutes but you don't know that it took me 5 hours to do this theme. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to talk about the things that I'm doing on my bullet journal, but if you want more details about everything, I recommend watching the speed up version where I just talk about everything that I'm using in more detail. So in this video, I decided to keep this video pretty raw in terms of voiceover. I'm not going to have a script. I'm doing this freely. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but it's going to be really good to practice my English. I don't know, but I'm kind of nervous to do this because it's the first time that I'm just talking freely with no script watching my video. So let's see how this turned out. I decided to do a chit chat video for my first real-time Plan With Me video because I've been posting a lot of real-time videos but with just plain music, and I thought that, you know what, I'm going to keep posting those throughout the month. So to just, spice up the things on my channel and to just not post relaxing and calm videos all the time, I decided to do a chit chat for this video. For May, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it all depends on your feedback. So if you like this video, I hope you comment something down below for me to know if you liked it or not. Again, you can watch this video while planning your bullet journal or spread. I feel like these are very real to me, at least that's how they feel. I actually got this idea from Sarika Studio, I think that's how you pronounce it. She makes bullet journal, but in a traveler's notebook. And she journals a lot. She uses a lot of stamps and stickers, and I would love to try that one day, but for now I'm just not a good stamp user. but I watched her videos. Like I think I binge watched her videos one time at work when I was working on the weekend, and her videos are so calm. She does the bullet journal in real time, and she uses the things so delicately. Like, I fell in love with her videos, and so I decided, you know what, let's try. I love like creating the content that I love on a daily basis into my channel, so I do what I love basically. And so I decided to try this because I actually edited my March weekly spread real time video while watching her videos, and it was just like perfect. So yeah, let me know your opinions on this video. As you can see, I'm doing my calligraphy for the title on the cover page. I watched a bunch of pen pal with me videos, and they do this type of calligraphy, and I've been doing this um, on my pen pals that are coming in April, and I decided to try it for April, for my month of April, because I always do the same calligraphy for the titles, and sometimes when I spice things up a little bit, they just turn out really great because it's different, and sometimes doing different things every now and then are really good for your bullet journal because you're not doing just the same thing. And so I decided to change and to do calligraphy, but I don't even know how to call this font, but I just kept it pretty like simple and cute. Um, this could be more vibrant if the green wasn't too dark, but to be honest, I don't have a lot of green tumbled brush pens, so. But I really enjoyed doing this title for the cover page. I think it adds a lot of personality to it. If you've been following me on Instagram and you participated in this challenge for the followers control my bullet journal, you know that this theme was your first choice in this case. You know that this theme was the second most voted one. The theme that actually won was scrapbooking, and I think it was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't include it in this year's polls, because I included in last year polls because this April challenge comes from last year, and I decided to keep it a tradition to this year. And basically, I included scrapbooking on the polls for this theme, and it actually won because it was the same thing that won. I mean, this theme, the scrapbooking theme, won last year, and I shouldn't include it this year because if it won last year, it would probably win this year also. So you get the idea. I shouldn't. It was a mistake on my part to include it on this month's polls. But I did scrapbooking last year for April. It's one of my favorite themes of 2019, and I just included in this year's too because I thought, you know what, you like that theme and I like that theme, and the themes that I include on the polls are always themes that I want to do this year eventually in some month. So I included there a grid board theme, yellow theme, because I did yellow last year in March, and then I just never did a yellow theme, and I was like, okay, I want to do scrapbooking this year, so let's include it. But as the polls were going on, I started seeing that you were choosing scrapbooking, and I was like, please don't choose scrapbooking. I'm not really feeling it. I'm really feeling the yellow theme and the green leaves theme, but I'm not feeling the scrapbooking. And so when you choose scrapbooking, I was like, okay, it's scrapbooking. And in my mind, I was like, okay, you didn't have this theme in mind. It was not one of your first choices, but you're not in charge. You're not in charge. So you were going to do the theme that your followers chose. And I started painting, and I was starting to see the images on Pinterest, and I started to do everything in order to brainstorm this theme. And for some reason I was just not feeling it. And then I did another mistake, was to ask you what color palette we would like to see, like the brown that you normally use in scrapbooking or the green, and you chose the green. And I started thinking, like, how am I going to do this? You chose scrapbooking, which is basically photos from Pinterest, but you want me to use green. And I wasn't feeling scrapbooking in the first place, but now I was definitely not sure. Um, I was not sure if I wanted to do scrapbooking in the first place. So it was just so confusing. And I took an afternoon to just brainstorm about it and to see like the pictures. I printed the pictures to use with the different color palettes in my sketchbook, and I was just not feeling the theme. And I absolutely hate when I think about doing a theme and I'm not feeling it. I just hate. It's just not natural to do something that you are not feeling like doing. So I really tried to do the scrapbooking theme, and at the end of the day I was like, okay, I'm not feeling this. I have to be honest, and I'm going to do a poll on Instagram because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should do the scrapbooking theme anyways, even though I was not feeling that theme, or if I should ask you like, what should I do? Give me an answer. So I did a poll and you were very supportive on Instagram, because I actually received a lot of DMs of people saying like, if you're not feeling that theme, just don't do it. Do whatever you want, you know. But I was feeling guilty because you chose that theme, and the point of this challenge is to do the theme that you chose. If I don't do the theme that you chose, it's kind of like pointless. But I also received a lot of DMs saying like, do whatever you want. You are the one who has control of your own bullet journal. You have the last word. You shouldn't do something because other people are saying that you should do it. And I was like, yeah, but it's the followers control your bullet journal for a reason. It has that name because you are controlling my bullet journal. But yeah, I was just not feeling that. And I did a poll where you'd have to choose if I'll do scrapbooking, if I'll do the polls again for you to choose another theme, or if I do the second most voted theme. And you were like, just do the second most voted theme, Spring Leaves. And a lot of people DM'd me saying like, do the second most voted theme, like it's not a big deal. And I sometimes have this problem while doing themes in my bullet journal, is that I overthink so much. In 2019, I actually had a conversation with Daniel, which is my Bujo buddy. He also does bullet journal, and it was a person who I was always like talking about bullet journal. Like every time that I had a doubt over a page, a theme, a color, something like that, I would ask him, and 90% of the time he would say to me like, you're overthinking it, you are thinking too much about it, just do whatever you like, it's calling your name, just don't overthink it. I had that problem so many times in 2019. Like I remember having DMs with him, and just like, he would just say, you just think too much. So I kind of don't do that anymore. I did for this theme in specifically because I wasn't in charge in a way. But since those conversations with him, I never asked him anything after that, because I was just like, okay, I shouldn't overthink. So now what I do is, if I'm not sure about something, about a color, a spread, layout, theme, whatever it is, related to my bullet journal specifically, I take 5 minutes to just think about like what I'm going to choose. And if at the end of those 5 minutes I haven't made up my mind, I choose what my gut is telling me. So for this theme, I tried to do this scrapbooking theme. I brainstormed about it. I wasn't feeling it. I was then thinking about doing the green leaves theme, or to ask you what should I do for, for April. And at the end of those 5 minutes, I wasn't sure. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm going to ask on Instagram, and what they say is what I'm going to do. So I made the polls. I explained the problem, and I went to bed. And on the next day, I woke up to a lot of DMs saying like, do whatever you want. And the answer that won was that for me to do the second most voted theme. And I was so relieved, because on that day I was not stressed out about it. I started seeing a lot of photos and saving them on my Pinterest to just have the idea of what the hell I was going to do. And yeah, I was just so happy with the result. And I started brainstorming that afternoon, and I was like, yes, this is the theme that I want to do. So I'm really glad that you helped me with this thing. And long story short, just don't overthink it. If you're not feeling something, just don't do it. It's just, it's that easy. I know that it's that easy, but taking those 5 minutes to just make up my mind to say, or you do scrapbooking, or you do the second most voted theme and you don't say anything to anyone, or you just ask them. And asking you was the best thing that I could have done. So I'm really happy that I did that. Whew. So that is basically the story of this theme, and I couldn't be more happier that you chose for me to do this theme, because it turned out so great. I'm really proud of this theme. I think that I should get out of my comfort zone more often. Normally I just do themes that are really simple, not like a lot of work, but you know, sometimes we need to put a little 5 minutes into the theme to think about what I'm going to do. So yeah. So as you can see, I did my cover page and my daily highlights page, and I was really loving the different shades of green. I love how the dark greens from the title spice up the page a little bit, and the light green from the washi tapes and the artisanry markers, which was the marker that I used for the lines on the daily highlights. I really love how they stand out, and I was really happy with the result. So yeah, I think that that's enough for the story behind this theme. I wanted to talk about some topics that you suggested me over on Instagram. Okay, so when I said that I was going to do this video, I asked you some topics on Instagram for you to suggest to me so I could have something to say on this video, because otherwise I would run out of things to say. So you suggest me a lot of topics, and I'm going to cover some of the most interesting ones because this video is only like an hour-ish long. I don't have a lot of time. So the first topic that I picked up was the story behind your YouTube channel. I actually really like talking about this publicly, because I feel like it's really important for any person that wants to start a YouTube channel, or that has a smaller channel, smaller than mine, and that also wants to start their own YouTube channel. Basically, I started my bullet journal journey showing my pictures on Amino. If you don't have that app, or you don't know what it is, it's basically a community. They have a bunch of communities on them, and I'm part of the bullet journal Amino app. And I basically started posting there my pictures. Back in 2017, when I started using the bullet journal, and I was doing my bullet journal in Portuguese back in the day, and I was posting my picture, and I was really into like doing calligraphy, even though my calligraphy back then was not great. But I decided that, you know what, I'm seeing so many people posting their bullet journal pages on Instagram. I should start also posting on Instagram. So after a couple of months posting on Amino, I think 6 months, a year, I don't remember, but in 2017 I then decided to start posting my pictures on Instagram, I believe. Um, in 2018, sorry, in early 2018, I started posting on Instagram, and I actually received a comment on Amino in 2018, the beginning of 2018. It was actually when I did my September 2018 theme, where I did green leaves and like palm trees. Oh, it's basically the same thing that I'm doing here. Well, but I did like green leaves with washi tape and everything, and my calligraphy was getting good back then, and someone asked me like, do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, no. And I started talking with someone about that, like, oh, you should start a YouTube channel, like you should film your setups, how you set up your bullet journal, everything. And I was really into that back in the day, because I was watching all the YouTubers that do bullet journal doing their own bullet journal and filming and everything, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should do it, maybe I should think about it. So I started thinking about it, and that's basically how I started my YouTube channel, just by a random comment asking me if I had a YouTube channel. It's crazy. But basically, back in the day, so I posted my first YouTube video back in late September 2018. I posted my October bullet journal theme. The video is not good. in any way because I was filming with my iPhone 6. I did not had any artificial light. It was winter, so you don't have a lot of light outside. And yeah, it took me 2 days to film that setup, so it wasn't nothing special, but I decided to post it anyways. I even edited the video in the wrong format. So the format that we use is 16 by 9, and I used 4 by 3, which is like more rectangular but more squarish. It's not a 16 by 9, it's a little bit smaller, and I actually edited in the wrong format, but whatever. I uploaded to YouTube, and I was like, you know what? If this doesn't turn out anything interesting, I just don't post anymore. But I decided, like, when I want to try something, I'm really like, let's do it. So I started planning all my videos and what days I should post, what videos I was going to do. So yeah, I just committed to post twice a month. I would post on the 10th and on the 20th. So on the 10th, I would post something related to bullet journal or stationery, and on the 20th, I would just post the bullet journal theme for the upcoming month. And I did that for a couple of months because I was just starting on YouTube, and I was, anything special because I didn't have a lot of equipment. I did not have a camera. And so basically that is my story behind my YouTube channel. I received a comment and I decided to try it, and it's crazy that I'm still doing this almost a year and a half later. And with this, I kind of wanted to say that if you want to start a YouTube channel or something that requires a lot of work and a lot of persistence, just do it. Just post your first video. Like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that you post a video and people don't watch it, or you just don't have the best outcome out of it. But I think it's the worst thing that can happen is that. And if you never post a video, you never know if you could have a career out of this. Because one thing that I always mention in when I talk about starting new stuff and starting a YouTube channel, and when people ask me for tips on my bullet journal and what things I did to start a YouTube channel, I basically always say that watch the first videos of your favorite YouTubers. Like, watch the first 5 videos. If they did not put them private, because some YouTubers do that, but I remember watching the first bullet journal videos from Planning with Kay and Plant-Based Bride, and back in the day when I was starting my YouTube channel, I watched their videos and I was like, okay, their videos are bad as well, so mine is worse, so that doesn't matter. Let's post it. And I posted, and I'm still doing this until now, and a lot of people don't start YouTube or whatever because they are afraid of people not enjoying them. But the worst that can happen is that no one watches and you stop doing that. Maybe YouTube is not even for you. I also see a lot of people that I follow on Instagram. They tried to do YouTube and they didn't like it. And so instead of keep going with YouTube, they said, okay, this is not for me. And they stopped doing YouTube, and now they are very popular on Instagram. YouTube may not even work out for you, so just try it. Post a couple of videos, use different ways to edit a video, use different angles, try different music. I did that since the beginning. Like, I started with being like fun and talking really fast and going straight to the point, and now I'm more like, okay, take a deep breath, talk slowly, don't rush. Like, you don't have any reason to do this quickly, so just take your time, do everything slow. Now I film with my phone, but I still use my $15 store tripod. So like, I don't know, like, I think that starting a YouTube channel is not that hard. It's hard to get a lot of subscribers and to start earning money on YouTube. Yeah, that's hard for sure. But if you never start, you never know what, like, the outcome, you know what I mean? If you never start, you never know. So that was basically the story, with a little bit of rambling about the story of my YouTube channel. I like talking about this because I feel like so many people don't start their YouTube channel, a project, like, you know, their career, because they are afraid of failing, and they are afraid of not um, being successful. And I get that. I get that. Like, I'm still a little bit nervous at my job because it's not something that I'm comfortable with now. But it's the same thing when I started my YouTube channel. I wasn't comfortable with. If you watch my November setup of 2018, I was so nervous. Like, my English was not good. I was talking so fast. Like, I was so nervous. And now I'm just like here chilling, watching my video and doing a real-time chit chat with me, which was something that I never thought about doing. So yeah, life changes a lot and changes you a lot. So if you want to start your your YouTube channel, just start. Just get your phone, get your bullet journal, and just start your YouTube channel about bullet journal. Obviously, like, that's the only area that I can give you advice on. But yeah, that was the story behind my YouTube channel. And think about it, if I never posted my first video on my YouTube channel, I was not here today. I would not be here, you know. I would not receive money from, like, YouTube. I would not have my pen pals. I would not, um, you know, do the things that I love doing now. And I would not had work with brands and getting sponsorships and things for free. Like, it's so good, and it can all go down the drain if you just don't post the first video. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, that was the story behind my YouTube channel. So the next topic is actually a recent topic that I wanted to cover, which is, how are you dealing with the COVID-19 situation? So basically, now, as I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, 17th of March, and it's a complicated situation here in Portugal. If you didn't know, I live in Lisbon, Portugal, and it's complicated because in most countries they already closed everything. Like, I know that in Italy they closed everything, so no one is on the street. Everyone is at home. Some people are working from home, some people are not working. But here in Portugal, it's not like that. Like this week, we are, like, my parents um, are not working from home yet, but I think tomorrow they will start working from home. Like, this week, they are going to start working from home. But at my job, we are not doing that. At my job, we are basically our bosses, because we have more than one boss. I think it's bosses. Okay, what? Never mind. Our bosses, they decided to divide our team into two. So half of our team is working from home. They are at home, safe, and they are working. You know, they are doing their job, but just at home. And the other half is working normally. We go to work and we come home. We work there, and if we get exposed to the virus, we get exposed to the virus. I'm currently in the team that is working normally at my job. It's basically 2 weeks doing this, and then 2 weeks we switch. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm working at my job, but then after these 2 weeks, I'm working at home. Until then, we don't know if we're going home safe, or if we're going to still doing this, if the virus keeps spreading, if it gets worse. Like, we don't know. We just live, for at least that's what I do. I just live one day at a time, and if my boss says you have to go to work, I go to work. If my boss says we're going to close the bank and you're not going to work from home because there's no access to it, or you have to work from home doing this, this, and this, we just do that. To be honest, it's confusing here in Portugal because everyone, it's kind of like everyone is running to the supermarkets and buying a lot of things, and half of the people don't know what to do. And I'm just living my normal life. I think that this is a big deal, of course, but everyone is stressing out, and I think that in these situations, the more you stress out, the worse it is for you, because your health is in risk, and if you risk it even more by stressing out, I think it's the worst. For me, I just prefer to just go to work, to follow my boss's rules. If they say go to work, go to work, and I'll go. I wash my hands more frequently than I used to. I don't touch anyone. We don't, you know, we just don't have any physical contact. We are away from each other, and that's just basically what I do. But this situation is really critical, especially for the post office, because I ordered a bunch of things and now I just think that I'm not going to receive them in time. My pen pals, I'm not receiving pen pals at the moment, and I'm basically behind doing the pen pals, so I kind of piled up a lot of pen pals to do, so I'm going to take this time to just do the pen pals, and once this pandemic is over, I can go back to my regular state. But basically now my life is just normal. I'm not stressing about everything. I'm doing my normal life. It's just that it sucks because our country doesn't close doors, and we are kind of in risk because, like, I'm not inside these, so I don't know what should you do and how you can do this. But I think that if it's a virus that is spreading and it spreads by physical contact and interaction with people, the best thing is to just send everyone home, you know. But then our economy just goes down the drain basically, so it's crazy. I don't know, I'm just tired of hearing about this on the news. I just, like, we know that this is critical, but the more we stress out about it, the worse. I think that we should just follow the rules and just keep ourselves safe at home, not go to work, wash our hands, don't touch each other, like, and see how this is going, because I'm so tired of this. Like, yeah, and I'm not tired of hearing about this, because, you know, obviously it's good to know the status of this, but I'm tired of just hearing a bunch of people like going to the supermarket and buy tons and tons of toilet paper, and, you know, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, this situation is so crazy. This feels like the apocalypse for sure. Like, oh my god. Yeah, as of today, I'm living my life really, like, not stressing out. And the good news is that if I'm going to stay at home, I'm going to film a lot more videos and produce a lot more content. So that's the good point in all of this. I always try to see the things on the bright side, and that is the bright side. If I keep, if I stay at home and I don't have to go to work, I just can create more videos. So that's great. That's the good side of working from home, with virus or with no virus. So yeah, that's how we're handling the situation. Whew. I don't know, it's just, it's hard times. Yeah, we are going through some hard times here in Portugal and in the whole world. So just stay safe, stay at home, you know, don't do much, don't touch anyone, and as soon as you have the symptoms, just rest and don't interact with anyone, and wear a surgical mask, gloves, just protect yourself basically. But yeah, in this video I just wanted to cover that because someone asked me on Instagram, and I was like, okay, maybe I should just talk a little bit about this, because I didn't do any stories about the virus, I didn't talk about the virus anywhere, so I just thought, like, you know what, just cover this for 10 minutes, and yeah, then just talk about, let's just talk about good things, you know. You're watching this video, We are journaling together, possibly. So, yeah, it's the best to just think about positive things. So, let's not focus on the COVID-19 and just talk about anything else, please. I know that this is a very sensitive topic to talk about, but I don't like talking about these types of things because I feel like my channel is supposed to be a gateway of all of these things, and when you go on YouTube to watch vlogs and bullet journal setups and the life of anyone that you follow, or comedy videos and entertainment videos, you don't want to hear about the news or the pandemic that it's outside of your house. So I cover this and I'm going to shut up about it. So let's go back and talk about my setup for April again, just to change the subject. As you can see, I'm really using the circle stickers that I got from AliExpress. I love these circle stickers. Like, they add the little touch to the page. I absolutely love them. I saw them online and I was like, I need those circle stickers. And I was so happy when I got them because they are just amazing. I love using these circle stickers and seeing them on pages and on my pen pal letters. Like, they look so great. I just wish that they had more colors because I feel like they are really limited. I don't have any red, orange, or yellow. Purples are just not a lot of purples. You have a lot of greens, but blues you just have like 3 or 4 shades. Um, I need to purchase more of these, and I'm really into circle stickers lately, so I found a couple of stores on Etsy and on AliExpress, I think, where they sell stickers, and I plan to buy them all. I actually purchased a lot of things from AliExpress, but because of the situation right now in the world, I don't think I'm going to receive anything anytime soon. So the stationery haul that I was planning for April is probably going to come only in May or June. I don't know, depending on the situation when that time comes. But yeah, I'm really loving the stickers. I think they are pretty affordable, for something that comes from AliExpress, and then you have like 30 of them, so they are really affordable. And so yeah, I actually have been loving this watercolor palette as well. I don't know why, but there's something so therapeutic in doing watercolors. I love um, using them, even though, like, when I'm thinking about using watercolors, I'm just like, no, you have to wait for them to dry, and then you don't want to wait, so just don't use them. But when I'm starting to use watercolors, I'm just like, I'm gonna use them in every single thing I do in my bullet journal from now on. So yeah. By the way, I posted my March weekly spread real time with me, and I plan to do one for April as well. So yeah, I'm going to keep using this, and then for the next couple of months in my bullet journal, I'm going to try to use watercolors as well. Alright, so one of the things that you asked me was to talk about my favorite books. Um, I was never an active reader when I was younger, like only around 2018 or 2017 actually was when I started reading more, because I was at school, and so for me reading in school was just not something that would fit into my schedule. But back in 2017, I believe I read 13 Reasons Why. And I just loved the book, and then when I watched the TV show, I was like, okay, this doesn't have anything to do with the book. If you never watched 13 Reasons Why, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though I really want to, because the end of the TV show, it's not the same end at the book, if I remember correctly. But yeah, basically I started reading more back then, and yeah, now I have a lot of books. I plan to read 15 books this year. In 2019, I read 10 books, and yeah, I read 9 books in English and 1 in Portuguese, but I plan to reread that book in English. I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F in Portuguese, and I kind of want to read it in English, because I don't know, like, reading things in Portuguese hit differently than reading things in English. I don't know why, but when I read something in Portuguese, it's kind of like like I don't really enjoy it. And when I read something in English, it's just like a whole nother world. I don't know why, but it makes a difference in my head. Uh, I personally prefer to read books in English because I'm not an English native speaker. And so I went to Cambridge for a year, and reading in English and talking in English and listening things in English um, really helped me learn better and to talk better and to write better, which is something that sometimes I don't do depending on how fast I'm talking. Like for example, in this video I made a couple of mistakes, but this video is supposed to be raw, so I don't care. But since I've been reading more in English, I have been understanding like how to make the sentences and how to talk better and use different things. And so I've been really into reading in English. All the books that I purchase now are in English, which are kind of hard because here in Portugal we don't have a lot of English books, and only in like those stores that are like bookstores but in English. We just have one or two here in Lisbon, but in bookstores we don't have a lot of books in English, so it's kind of hard for me to read in English. But I have been reading a lot of good books in 2019 and in 2020. One of my favorite books from 2019 is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know, I read that book back in March 2019, I think, around this time, and I was so fascinated by how she describes like how inspiration works and how ideas work in your head, and why sometimes you have an idea and then you forgot about it and then you never use it, and then you see someone using that idea. Like, it's so weird, but it hits differently, especially if you are a creator and you do bullet journal or any type of art. um, her video her videos the Big Magic book is so inspiring. Like, you read that book and you feel like you can do anything, and then you can try everything, and just be a completely different person just by reading that book. I don't know, I love that book, and I don't remember the books correctly sometime after reading it, so I plan to read the books that I read in 2019 that I liked in 2021 or 2022, it depends. But her book was one of my favorite ones. If you never read anything by Elizabeth Gilbert, I highly recommend Big Magic. I don't know, just like the fact that she talks about how ideas work, and like how our world works in terms of ideas and our life in general, is just so inspiring. Like, I read that book so fast, and I just like, it's one of my favorite books of 2019 for sure. The other book that I read, which was I read it last month actually, was the Are You Fully Charged by Tom Rath. I mentioned in my reading list for 2020 video, like, his book is actually really great, really, really great. He talks about how everything that we do in our day-to-day lives influence our energy and our mood and everything. And it just kind of makes you think that sometimes you feel this way because of this, even though you never thought about it. And then sometimes you do this, and this because you have been thinking this way or have been feeling this way lately. Like, and he uses a lot of studies made by universities back in America or in London or something like that. And you can see, like, yeah, that's true. But you know that something is true, like the fact that when you sleep, you're worse. Like, if you don't sleep well, or if you don't sleep the 8 hours recommended, your mood changes, your energy changes. But even though you know that, sometimes you don't sleep the 8 hours. And his book is really like, this is why you have this energy, this is why you're just not being productive, it's because of this. And it actually also talks about like exercise and what you eat and to what people you talk to and your connections and everything that you do in your life influence your life in certain way. And just like, his book is so easy to read because it's one of those books that have little chapters, so it has a chapter and it has little chapters inside that chapter. For me, it's the best way to read because it goes straight to the point. Every paragraph is about something else, so you don't kind of mix information, because if you're reading that title, the paragraph that is next to it's on that chapter is about that, you know what I mean? Like, for me as a non-English native speaker, it's really good to just separate the oh my god, to separate like the ideas one from each other. Like, that's what I was trying to say. So I highly recommend reading that book. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that book. I don't know why, but his book is really great. And the best thing about that book is that it has mindful exercises at the end. So you read the book, and after you read the book, you kind of go to a section where you just practice mindfulness. For me, that's amazing because you just read the book. It's kind of like school. Like, you just read the book and now you are going to do an exercise about everything that you just read. I haven't done that yet. I plan to do that on my vacations in April. But yeah, I really think that it's a book that you should try. I can talk more about it in a future video. I don't do videos a lot about books. It's just not what I like to do. I just don't do a lot of book videos. But I highly recommend, and you can follow me on Goodreads to see what books I read this year and what books I recommend and everything. So yeah. Then another book that I read this year was the Bullet Journal Method book. Like, I was so excited to start reading that book finally. That book came to Portugal only in Portuguese. They had only a few in English and I wasn't able to grab it. I was really sad. And so I'm kind of late to the party, but I finally read that book. And that book is so great. Even though you don't do bullet journal, um, and you don't organize your life, like, it's so good to read it because it kind of reminds you of like what you should do, what you shouldn't do, um, like how you do things influence your productivity and everything. As you can see, I really like self-development books, um, but the bullet journal method is amazing for someone who is starting bullet journal, is great for someone who has been doing bullet journal for a while like myself, but that sometimes needs a little reminder that bullet journal sometimes it's not what you do or how you do it, it's how you practice it, type of thing. Because I see a lot of people doing a lot of things that are not in the bullet journal method, but that works for them, and that's completely different, you know. Like, it's not because Ryder Carroll says that you should do this, this, and this in your bullet journal that you should do that in your bullet journal. If that doesn't work for you, bullet journal is a very versatile and personalized tool for you to get organized. So if how he explains doesn't work for you, you can transform it into something that works for you. I feel like it's really interesting to read. If you never read it, I highly recommend. It has a lot of illustrations and examples, so you go through it and you just get a lot of information from it. I feel like it's amazing. So I finally read that book and I couldn't be happier. You know, it's a really relief to, not a relief, but like, you read that book and it's kind of like a refresh for your mind. Yeah, refresh, that's the word. You kind of refresh your mind with everything that you already knew about bullet journal, but over time you just do other things and you just kind of go out of the road about bullet journal, and reading that book, it just kind of puts it into the right place. It's just an amazing book and I highly recommend you read it if you never read it. And yeah, I obviously have to mention Stranger Things, Suspicious Minds. As you know, I'm a sucker for Stranger Things. Like, I don't know why, but I love Stranger Things. And I finally read Suspicious Minds by Gwenda Bond. It's kind of like the prequel before the season 1 of Stranger Things. But it's not the right moment before the first season. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, you have the first season and then you have um, space in the middle of this book and the first season, and it's kind of sad in a way. I really enjoyed the book, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the book because it shows like how 11 was created and what was behind the experiment for the MK Ultra project and everything, and how 8 um, was born and how 11 was born, and like everything like that we didn't know in the first season but that we know about on the second season. So if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I highly recommend, if you did, if you cannot already tell. But that book is really amazing, and I just wished that the book would end with the first season, because you kind of don't understand some parts, because where the book ends and the first season, there's some time between those two time places. So I really enjoyed the book, but I felt like I was missing something. So to fix that, I bought The Darkness on the Edge of Town, which is the other book from Stranger Things. But I don't think that it's the continuation of the other book before the first season, because it's not from the same author. I don't know, I can be wrong. I haven't read it yet because I'm reading another book now. I'm reading The Family Upstairs. I don't remember the author. Liza Jewel, I think, something like that. Yeah, I'm reading that book because I don't like to read like similar books next to each other. I normally read one fiction, one non-fiction, one self-development book, and then one fiction, just to change what I'm reading every now and then, because it's really boring for me to read stories and stories and stories and then go to a self-development book. I like to change what I'm reading every now and then. But yeah, those are some of the books that I read this year and last year that I really, really enjoyed. I only keep the books that I really enjoyed reading and that I plan to read in a 5-year period, or that are good to just keep next to you. So every time that you're just bored and you don't have anything to do, or you don't want to start a new book, you just read an old book that you read that you really enjoyed. Um, Now I just keep 6 books with me that I read. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, I don't have in English, but I have to purchase it. With that are 7 books. But yeah, those have been my favorite books so far. If you have any recommendations, you can always comment down below. I'm always I'm always curious to know what books are you reading. I follow a bunch of people on Goodreads and they are always reading interesting books. Um, it was actually because some of people that I followed on Goodreads that I started reading other books. Oh, I have more books, but one of them is with my best friend and the other is with my one of my colleagues from work. So, which is The Power of Habit. Amazing book. Like, that book changed my life completely. And um, Notes on a Nervous Planet by Matt Haig. Those 2 books are also really interesting. Power of Habit is about like how habits influence your life and how you can change them, and how some famous people change their habits in order to be more productive and to create a better life, and how people change their lives, changing their habits and their perspective on them. And it's just like amazing. I love that book, and I gave it to my best friend because she's studying psychology and I feel like it's the perfect book for her to read. So yeah. And to my colleague, I actually give him the Notes on a Nervous Planet because he started reading that book at work one day with me and he got really interested, and I was like, okay, I can give it to you and then you give it back. And he hasn't started reading it yet. But whatever. Notes on a Nervous Planet is basically Matt Haig's story of how he had anxiety in the past and how now he overcame it, and how he now is a more relaxed person, and how he just like lives his life without being like stressed out, and how he was living with his anxiety back in the day and how he overcame it. And it's a really good book just for the simple fact that is he wrote that book with things from 2019, so it's really, really recent. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I read books about self-development, I feel like those books are so old in the way that sometimes how you see things now in the 21st century is different than how they are explaining it in the book, because the book is written back in like 2005 or something like that, and it's just not updated. You know what I mean? I don't know if you also feel that, but sometimes I feel that. And the thing with the notes on a nervous planet, that's how the book is called. I'm going to link the books that I talked about in the description. It's easier for you to find them. He talks about like how anxiety struck him in 2019 with Twitter and the news and fake news and clickbaits and all that stuff. And you read that book and you feel like, okay, this is a today problem. It's not a 10 years ago problem. It's a today problem. And you can kind of feel how he's feeling, because if you spend a lot of time on Twitter, you basically feel the same. I don't have Twitter. Twitter for me, it's the most toxic social media platform ever. I don't put my fingers or my eyes on Twitter ever. I hate Twitter because of that reason. I think it's really toxic for everyone who is inside that platform. But he talks about how anxiety is so much worse nowadays than it was 10 years ago. And so I read that book and it really, really sparked like, yeah, we stress a lot. And it's because of how we are living now today that we are stressing out. So I highly, highly recommend that book. It's a very short book and you read it pretty fast. Um, and it's really easy to go through, so I highly recommend reading that book. So those were the books that I read so far that I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, I want to read 15 books this year. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm actually reading my fourth book this year. Let me think. I read Eat, Pray, Love. I read Are You Fully Charged? I read Stranger Things, Suspicious Minds. I read what? No, I'm on my fifth book. I'm reading my fifth book. Yeah, yeah, I'm on my fifth book, so I think I'm cool with 15 books this year. I don't know. I have been reading a lot on my breaks at work. When on the days that I don't work, I normally read for half an hour at home. So yeah, I've been really up my game on books, and if you have any recommendations, you just can leave them down below. So we are doing my brain dump page in my bullet journal. I'm sorry I'm not talking about my bullet journal that much. Again, if you want to watch the sped up version, I talk about the bullet journal only. I don't do this rambling and chit chat. But as you can see, my brain dump page is really, really simple. I love doing these details with the lines around the page. Um, because without the lines it's just a blank page with no margins, and just by doing these lines I think it gives it so much structure. I don't know what it is, but I love doing these lines around the page, especially when it's a page that it's so minimal. For example, for March I do it for the cover page because I just had the title and a quote in the middle and I didn't have any doodles to fill up the page. I just did this border around the page and it was amazing. And here I'm just using different pens. I used a Crayola that I labeled in my pen swatches notebook video. I'm using the Zebra mild liner. I'm using the Tumblr brush pen. Like, I love these lines because they are not straight. I normally never apply any pressure to them and I just do some lines, and I love that they don't look structured and they are very crooked, so I don't know, it feels more real. As you can see, I don't use rulers on anything because I like to see the uneven lines on my bullet journal, I don't know, it's just like that personal feeling. Like, as you can see, that line was totally not straight, and I'm okay with it. It looks great. And I always like to do these types of titles on the brain dump page, because I feel like writing brain dump, it's so lame. Like, everyone writes brain dump, but I never saw anyone saying like off your mind down to paper, you know, for the brain dump page. And I still have a lot of space to write my things on, um, and I would probably take up the same space if I wrote brain dump at the bottom of the pages. So if I can give it a little bit more of personality, I will. I love doing these different titles for the brain dump page. Okay, so my bullet journal setup for April is almost finished. The next spread is just a weekly spread, and it's done. In the meantime, I got a DM from someone asking me like how to get over these lazy days, and when you like feel lazy and unproductive, and how do you deal with it and everything. And because now we need to stay safe and we need to stay indoors and not have contact with anyone, and basically not do anything, you know, outside of our houses, uh, it's a great time to create different things and to get out of your comfort zone and do things that you have been postponing for a long time. So I highly recommend you to, you know, paint, do some artwork. Sometimes when we are at work and at school, we don't really have time to explore our creative side, and that is the reason why I do what I do. Even though I have a job in IT, I always try to do some creative work like bullet journaling and painting and anything um, outside my job, so I can get my creative side going, even though I have a job that doesn't have anything to do with creativity. I think it's a good time to just explore like how to paint with watercolors and to practice calligraphy, practice your doodles, try different things in your bullet journal, and to just have really great self-care time, because there's not much that you can do when you need to stay indoors and that you just, you know, can't go anywhere. So I think that it's a really good time to just practice self-care. So if you're stuck at home and you don't really have much to do, read a book, drink some tea, you know, drink some coffee if you prefer coffee. Binge watch some documentaries that are really interesting. Netflix has some documentaries that are really interesting. Try different things, do artwork, paint something, create something. I think that this is the best time for you to do, because you possibly don't have school, or if you have, it's online school, but you can be a little bit more chill and, you know, take this time to just create something. That's basically what I'm going to do. Um, in this time that I don't know if I'm going to work or if I'm going to stay indoors, because as of right now, my job hasn't told anything to us if we're going to work from home or we're going to still going to the to our job. Uh, I'm going to create a bunch of things. I'm going to paint a lot. I'm going to create my pen pal letters. I'm going to take some time to read, to rest, to work out at home because I can't go to the gym. So, you know, organize my room, brainstorm about stuff, create new content for my YouTube channel, um, make a bunch of pages for Instagram, create new content. Like, there are so many things to do indoors. Now with internet, like, you have a lot of things to do. In my perspective, I like to stay indoors. I don't like to, you know, leave the house and go around and not too much. I like to stay at home and to just read, be productive, and plan my week. That's the best thing that I've done so far. Like, since I've become a very productive person, planning my week and say that tomorrow I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to create this, this, and this, and on that day I'm going to post that video, so I have to edit that video throughout this week so I can post it. It's so interesting. Like this week I'm going to edit this video in my speed up version of the April setup. I'm going to edit a pen pal that the girl already received it weeks ago, but I just haven't posted the video yet. I'm going to create new pen pals for some amazing girls that have been texting me and sending me their pen pal letters. Like, it's a really good time to practice self-care and to do things that you never tried. So if you have been postponing something that you would like to do for a really long time, this is the perfect time to do it. I have to organize my hard drives because I have a lot of clips from my YouTube videos. And I'm running out of space, so I kind of have to organize that. I'm going to plan videos for April and for May, because if I'm going to stay at home and I can't do other things, I'm going to plan for that. I'm going to study a little bit of Cisco probably. Yeah, I don't know, but that's on the agenda, you know. I can study a little bit. I have to update my vision board, so if you did a vision board for 2020, now is a really good time to update your vision board, because, for example, if you watched my vision board video, I put a picture of Amsterdam in my vision board because we were supposed to go to Amsterdam in April, but because of the coronavirus, we canceled the trip, so I'm not going to Amsterdam this year. For now, at least, we are not planning on going to Amsterdam. We were going to visit a lot of museums, and I was going to buy a bunch of stationery from Amsterdam, and, you know, to see the country and just, you know, explore the Netherlands. Like, I am really curious to see, you know, one of my first pen pals was from Netherlands, so I'm really, you know, I was excited to see Amsterdam. But we are not going, so I have to update my vision board because I have there things that I'm not going to do that I plan to do in late 2019 to do in 2020. But back in late 2019, my head was in another space, and now looking at my vision board, half of the things I'm just not going to do them. So yeah, I kind of have to update that, and now it's a great time to just print some pictures, create a mood board, and to update your vision board. I'm going to also think about my stationery wish list, because there's a lot of things that I want to try this year. I don't know if, again, I don't know how the shipping stuff is going to work with this, but there's a lot of pens and markers and watercolors that I want to try. So yeah, I'm also going to take this time to just paint some bookmarks for my pen pals, and you did not hear this, but you know, I'm just going to take this time to just create new content and to make mindful content that can entertain you in this time of, you know, that we are been through. I just think that it's a really good time to just stop and just reset your life, because now you're not going to have the rush in going to work and coming back home, and then you have to sleep and get up earlier the next day to go to work or to go to school or college, whatever you are doing. You don't have that rush anymore, at least for now. When I'm filming this, I don't think that most of us are going to have that rush. And so it's a really good time to just hit pause, because you don't have to be anywhere at a certain amount of time because everything is closed. It's a really good time to just stop and breathe and say everything is going to be fine, to, you know, reflect on everything that you've been doing, and take care of yourself. I think that is now it's the best time for that. I'm going to, again, paint a lot of stuff, create a lot of things. I'm going to have a bunch of time to edit and film videos, so if you have any video ideas, let me know. I have been in this creative rut, I think, of like where I have an idea and I just want to duplicate that idea and do a lot of things with that. I've been using watercolors now, and I just want to use watercolors now. It's crazy. But yeah, if you are feeling lazy because you're at home, you don't have anything to do, before you click on Netflix or before you watch YouTube, just think about everything that is going on in your life. Are you being organized? Do you have something to organize? Do you have something to declutter? Do you have something to reflect on and change? Like, now is the perfect time. It's kind of like, I think now we have to see this as a really big Sunday. You know, those Sundays where you're just like, okay, I'm going to relax, I'm going to organize my life, plan the next week, brainstorm about everything that I'm going to do on the next week. Now it's a big Sunday. So today is my last day of work that I take 3 days to rest. It's my day, are my days off, 3 days now until the weekend. And yeah, I'm just going to, you know, reflect on everything that I have to do, that I have been done lately. I'm going to create my May theme. I'm going to start planning my May theme. I'm going to write the pen pal letters. Like, there's so many stuff that you can do now. You don't have any reason why to feel lazy and unproductive. Now you have a million of possibilities to do. Learn classes on Skillshare. That is something that I want to try, is to learn classes on Skillshare, because I've had my Skillshare account for almost 2 years and I have watched 0 classes because I just don't have the time. Now it's the perfect time for that. So instead of like that half an hour that I was supposed to drive to work, I can learn something. And the half an hour that I will drive from work to my house, I can learn something. So it's that easy. So before and after work, I can learn something. It's crazy. I'm going to take this time to also read a lot, to just keep my mind going, because you can't stop learning and you can't stop exercising your mind just because you don't have school or work. Just do other stuff. It's the perfect time for that. So now I'm finishing my weekly spread. I've never tried this weekly spread, and I've seen Amanda Rachley doing this weekly spread over and over and again. And I was like, I never understood how this worked. So you basically have your events at the top and your tasks at the bottom. I'm going to also write my YouTube videos and Instagram posts that I organize on my calendar in my bullet journal. If you never noticed that, I write in my bullet journal the days that I post videos and that I post pictures on Instagram, and I'm going to basically do that in the event section, because on the events now I don't have to go to the gym or to meet someone. It's just going to work, but it's not even going to work. So yeah, and so I'm going to try this weekly spread. I don't know how it's going to work, because I'm going to use the 2K bullet journal by Notebook Therapy. So yeah, to finalize this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in my next video, and I hope you like this chit-chat real-time journaling with me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!